Hello and welcome back to New Romantic Cocktails. For those of you who might be new here, my name is Sophia McGlue. I'm a musician and I have a passion for making cocktails. In 2021, I released my debut album, New Romance. So overall, I've been making a cocktail to go to each one of my songs off of that debut album. Today, we will be making a variation of a mint julep for my song High. So my song High is a very chill song. It's kind of a slower paced song. It's got a lot of like cool, like lo-fi kind of sound in a way. It's, you know, it's just like more relaxed song. It's definitely one of my favorites to listen to. So overall the song is kind of about like a relationship that doesn't really have a future because, you know, one person's putting more effort into it than the other, and that's mainly because the other person in the relationship is not clear-minded, is kind of, you know, not really understanding reality. But overall it ends with like the girl saying, "You're too high to realize that you're in love with me or that I'm in love with you." And so it's pretty much like you're too high on whatever substance or whatever moodlet to really care. And this is nothing like personal, but it's just kind of what I have observed from other people's relationships. You can perceive it in your own way, but my overall like idea of the song was that one person is, you know, like high on marijuana or some other kind of psychoactive drug that alters their brain, makes them different. And just to clarify, I'm not promoting the use of any drugs, so you do you and be smart. So for the drink, I really wanted to kind of incorporate some kind of cannabis in a way, but I found that it would be too hard to have a drink that would still taste good, because I mean cannabis is got a very overpowering smell and flavor to it. I also didn't want to have two psychoactive drugs, you know, put together into one drink, because alcohol also changes your state of mind, obviously. And I just wanted to keep it simple, you know, just alcohol, not bring in another drug. I did think about adding CBD oil or tincture to the cocktail, because CBD doesn't have the psychoactivity that THC has, but it would also bring in that kind of cannabis idea into it. But for me, it's just like so hard to get CBD that's, you know, a reasonable price that I'm not going to be using it all the time, so I didn't want to purchase CBD oil just for this one drink. Maybe in the future I'll experiment with CBD oil or tincture in cocktails. And of course, if you're making this cocktail, feel free to add CBD oil or tincture to it. You can even, you know, smoke cannabis on top of the cocktail if you really want to make it crazy, but you do you, and you know, I'll just show you the basics of this mint julep and you can elevate it on your own. So I'm not using cannabis, but I also wanted to still incorporate some kind of like earthy flavors that you might find in cannabis into the drink, but not like overpowering like cannabis might have added. So one ingredient that is related to cannabis is actually hops, which you might know from beer. You need hops to make beer. So that flavor you might find in like an IPA that's very hoppy. It's kind of like citrus, kind of floral, kind of earthy. That's the kind of flavor that I thought might taste good in this cocktail. So there are many different ways of bringing in hops to this cocktail that I thought of. I really wanted to try infusing whiskey with hops in it, but hops aren't in season at the moment, so once they're more in season, I'll try to get my hands on some and maybe try that out. But for today, we are actually just going to use Jameson's IPA edition whiskey. So this is very different from a traditional mint julep, which is bourbon. This is, of course, Irish whiskey, so it's going to be a very different whiskey flavor. I'm also going to add lime because I like putting lime in my mint juleps. It kind of gives like a nice tartness. So it's not at all a classic mint julep. We're making our own little drink today. But we're going to use the IPA edition Jameson, which is actually whiskey that has been finished in a beer barrel. So the IPA was in the beer barrel, then taken out, and then the whiskey is put in. So you're just getting slight essence of IPA in your whiskey. It tastes very similar to just plain Jameson, but they say it's more citrusy and floral. I don't know if I really can taste much of a difference, but I haven't tried them side by side. So that's what we're going to use today to bring in a little bit of earthiness, floral, citrusy, relating to hops, which are even relating to cannabis. So it's very far distant from cannabis, but I think it still kind of gives this like nice relative kind of flavor. And then we're also going to be using an IPA Simple Syrup I made myself. I actually used Harpoon IPA because that's the one that I had at the moment when I was making this syrup. But you probably want something more hoppy than that if you want like the real hoppiness in the drink. Something more citrusy and more floral of an IPA. Or even like, you could even use like a double IPA and make a simple syrup out of that, which sounds really tasty. But we're just using this, a Harpoon IPA Simple Syrup that I mixed with turbinado sugar. So let's get into making the cocktail. We're gonna shake this cocktail. We're gonna start off with 2 ounces of our IPA edition Jameson. Let's get our jigger. 2 ounces of Jameson IPA edition. We're gonna do half an ounce of our IPA Simple Syrup. I'm gonna do half an ounce of lime juice. You can also muddle the limes if you prefer doing that, but we're just gonna juice the limes, half an ounce of lime juice. And I forgot to muddle the mint, so let's put this in our bigger tin. And I'm gonna just muddle a little mint. You don't have to muddle the mint since we're shaking it on ice. If you have nicer ice cubes, it will kind of like break it up for you, but let's just muddle it a little bit. So we're gonna do like 8 leaves, 6 to 8 leaves of mint. I feel like mint goes really well with the whole like cannabis hoppy idea. Like it's very earthy, kind of like a weird flavor and scent. Muddle those just very slightly. And then I'm gonna also add a few dashes of Angostura bitters. 4 sounds good. Alright, and then let's pour this back in there to the small tin, and then let's shake it on some ice. And I'm just gonna strain it into this nice rocks glass. But if you have like a mint julep glass, or what do you call it, tumbler, feel free to use that. Alright, and then before I add the ice, which I have here, I'm gonna actually smoke this to add that extra level of smoky, high kind of feelings to it. This one's very odd, this cocktail. It took me a really long time to figure out how I wanted to like come about this cocktail. So I'm finally doing it. So we're just gonna smoke this cocktail with some cherry wood chips. Just put some chips in the top part. Be very careful doing this. Smoke and mirrors, baby. So that's just adding like a smoky kind of vibe to the cocktail. Alright, I feel like that should be good enough. Let's take that off. Whoa. Smoky! And let's add some crushed ice or pebble ice, like a traditional mint julep would have. Just do a little Angostura on top for that like cool color on top. And now let's garnish it with some of our mint. Give it a little slap. Slappy poo. Got these dehydrated lemons and limes that I made. I'm just gonna place a lime on top as well, just to make it even prettier. Presentation has to be beautiful, right? There you go. How high do you need to be to realize that this is a mint julep? Is that a silly name? I actually kind of like it though. It's kind of fun. Let's even add a straw. And you want that straw to be right next to the mint so you smell the mint taking a sip of the cocktail. So there you go. It's the high mint julep. How high do you need to be to realize that this is a mint julep? Mint julep. There it is. It smells smoky. Ooh. It tastes really cool. The IPA is like not overpowering at all, but you get that like nice earthy flavor to it. I'm gonna go bring it to my sipping chair. Welcome to my sipping chair where we try our mint julep. So, we've got an IPA hoppy mint julep here with lime in it as well. So it's kind of more like a whiskey smash in a way, isn't it? Okay, I should maybe rename this. It's like a whiskey smash because it's got mint and citrus in it. It has just an oh so slight IPA kind of hoppiness to it. And then it has like a mintiness, so it's all very earthy and green. It's got a very earthy green vibe to it. Just a little smoky too. It's nice. It's very refreshing. Very icy and cold and bright and refreshing. So that's it. The high mint julep to go with my song High. So next time you're listening to my song High, make sure you grab one of these, whip it up, and put your own spin to it if you would like, and listen to my song High, and I hope you enjoy it. This is very drinkable.